Lily, you did a very good job today. Now she's going to wiggle away here in a minute, but this is her roadmap to success. This is Lily in Santa Monica. So basically, I think in Lily's situation, we fitted her up with a martingale collar, and her guardians can use this for the walk. We spent some time going over how to use the martingale. Message me if you forgot how to do that. Yes, are you getting a little antsy? How about if we provide a little positive reinforcement? Sit. So a lot of what we did in this session is going over how to teach her how to sit, and her guardians have been kind of petting her without a purpose. And also rewarding her for a lot of undesired actions and behaviors. So the more that we pet her and ask her to do something before we give it to her. So I'm asking her for an SIT, but she already knows this. So I'm just waiting. As soon as she does it, then she'll get a reward. So I'm kind of offering, I'm not going to let her have it. And you see that lean with her. There we go. Sit. So I wasn't telling her to sit over and over. I was waiting. And as soon as she knew I wanted it, because I told her once. And then as soon as she did what I wanted, she got the reward. So one of the things I went over with the guardians is what I call petting with a purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose is not petting the dog when the dog demands it, instead of giving the dog a counter order. Sit. Sit. Now remember, you have 3 seconds to correct or reward your dog. And if your dog doesn't do it within 3 seconds, don't repeat the command. The more you say it, the less you mean it. So what I do is I say sit once and I count to 3 in my head. If she doesn't do it, then I either hold the reward and just wait, and when she does finally do it, I do reward her, or I just lose interest completely and the reward goes away. That's the more advanced version. Initially, we want to just kind of wait her out, wait for her to do it. Okay, so if she tells the humans what to do from now on, nothing happens. But if the humans tell her what to do and she does it, she gets a reward. Sit. Now this is the advanced version. I'm waiting her out a little bit. Crash. Now she didn't give me what I wanted, but that is a desired behavior. So I'm petting her. I'm not giving her the treat though. So she does get a little bit of reward because that's something I like, but not the thing I asked for. So petting with a purpose is, again, not listening to the dog and giving the dog a counter order. When it does it, we're going to pet them unless they prepay. And that's what they'll start eventually doing. She'll start coming up, sitting in front of me saying, look, I'm sitting pretty, asking for attention. Can you scratch me behind this ear? Well, yes, because you asked for the right way. So we use watchwords. So one of the watchwords I use is paycheck. So when I come in the room and see someone's petting her and she's standing up, I say paycheck, and I say, oh, sit. Sit. I asked her to sit before you came in the room. You didn't see it, but we explain it to each other. We don't argue about it because that tells her it's okay for all of us to be on our own page. So it's just a reminder. I also say reward or recognize or testify. And that means that the dog just did something you want. And there she goes looking, and I think she's chewing a little bit. But again, look at her paws, and she might have a little, just because if you notice that they're wet, she's probably might have an allergy. So passive training is just simply recognizing her. So if she comes over here on her own, I'm going to pet her and say here. And I'd recommend the guardians change the word to here because I said come a whole bunch of times without following through. Always following through is one of the dirty secrets of dog behavior. So you say it once and then either make it happen or leave the room or change the environment a little bit. So so if I tell her to sit and she doesn't sit, then I just lean back and watch a little TV and ignore her. I'm not going to beg her multiple times. After a while, she'll start figuring out, as soon as I don't give the humans what they want, sit. Now I can use this to keep her, to anchor her, because you see she wants to move away. I think her guardians have snatched her just because they were late for work and stuff. And this is a very common mistake that a lot of people do. Now I've got her interested, so I'm asking her to sit. It's been a long session. She's like, I'm tired. So what I would do for this is I hold it here, and as soon as she sits, I would reach over with this hand, start petting her. And this is going to keep her attracted to it. And then I can pet her. After a while, I think with the more we pet her with a purpose and we stop snatching her, she's going to be more and more comfortable. And she's going to start coming in front of the humans and sitting to prepay for attention. Now, passive training is recognizing that. So I'll do it right here. Here is the word I'd recommend they change it to. So she came up here on her own. Now, this is actually breaking one of the rules, but we'll talk about that here in a sec. So if she comes and offers a behavior voluntarily on her own that I like, I want to make sure I recognize it and reward her. Say just the command word. And don't say, come, or in this case, here. So if she sits and somebody sees it and I didn't see it and they say, recognize, I look at the dog, and if she's standing, I assume she came and just pet her and say here. If she's sitting, I'm going to pet her and say sit. I'm just basically narrating whatever the dog happened to be doing at the time. Passive training and petting with a purpose are by far the two easiest things that you can do with the dog that will have the biggest impact on the dog's behavior. Crash is the word I like to use. Come up with fun command words for other things, for new words. We were talking about pence being the word for poop and other different funny things like that. So coming up, we have a little pink carrier, and it's pink. So I suggested, why don't we call it Mellencamp, because he has the song Little Pink Houses. So again, it's a little bit of fun to it, and studies show that having fun command words can be really helpful. Let me see. We also went over the importance of rules, sit, and structure. So one of the rules would be, for dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or status they have. So letting the dog sit at the same height as you, crash, tells the dog that we're peers, but we're not. But Lily doesn't just like to hang out here, she likes to hang out up here. I have more authority than the humans. So what I recommend for the humans is the furniture is off limits for 30 days. We have a little some steps for her to get on the dog bed and right here. And so if we remove those, then it helps her stay off of this as well. Now she has a dog bed right here, but I would probably put a dog bed right where the steps are, because that way it's a little bit more communal with us. Let me see. So in the video above, we talked about setting up a conditioned emotional response. And so I'd like the guardians to use that with the brush, but also anything else that she doesn't like doing. We can do the same thing with the toothbrush. Now the toothbrush is going to be a little bit harder, but it's like usually bacon-flavored toothpaste. We can get her used to liking that as well. But it's a similar principle by going very slow, helping her. First I look at it, then I lean towards it, then I touch it, then it's touching me, then it's touching me a little bit more intently, then it's touching me with the toothpaste. So at any point she backs up, we back up one step ourselves. Now the guardians have to make sure that they stop snatching her. So if we have to go to work, we have to go to do something, and we got to put her in a carrier or something she doesn't want to do, we want to start doing that about a half an hour ahead of time. And also, even better, would be to recreate that whole situation without actually leaving. So sit down where you normally sit, put your shoes on the way you normally do, pick up your purse, do all the different things like that, and then you go to the door and open the door, and then just close it and come back and put all your stuff down and sit down. We call it desensitizing. We do this a lot with dogs that they get too excited with the leash. So we just, as soon as the dog gets excited, we stop doing it. Now remember, anything our dog is doing when we pet it is what we're reinforcing. If she jumps up on me, which she's not doing, but if she were to jump and I pet her here, I'm petting her for doing that. Or if she jumps up on me, I'm petting her, I'm teaching her this is a way to get a human to pay attention to you. Are you going to offer me to sit? Nope, so I stop offering. By practicing things ahead of time, when we have time, when we're not actually going out, we can help her practice this, and we're not frustrated. If we're late for the airport, one of us is late for the airport, the other one is on time to the airport, but that stresses us out a little bit, and the dog knows that we're stressed. So recreating those things can be really helpful. Because she likes to protest in her kennel, I think part of it is she's used to protesting and whimpering and getting her way. You probably heard her whimpering a minute ago because she wanted attention from her guardian. Her guardian wasn't giving her attention. Sit. Sit. Remember, always say the command word after the treat goes in the dog's mouth. But playing hard to get is also a very effective tactic for dogs. If you're really interested in the dog, well, then the dog has the power. So a lot of times, if the dog runs under the couch and then because we're late, and then we go fool them by opening the door, we're breaking our trust even more. So passive training, every time she comes to us, we're going to pet her and say, here. Also, we can practice grabbing a bunch of treats and put them in little pieces and wait for her to go get some water. Every time she walks away, say, here. Now, I like to hold my hand like this. I have my 90-degree bend here. I'm just holding it sideways so you can see it. I would normally have this facing the dog. Before I even call the dog, I have the treat in my hand. Now, for dogs, the height matters. The taller we are, the more authoritative we are. You got a little bit of an itch. If I want her to come down on the floor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer her the treat, and I'm going to start lowering it to the floor. Here. So the lower you go, the more accessible it becomes for the dog. So if I want her to come, I say come, and her new word is here. But if she knew it, and I said here, and she hasn't come, then I go like this. Then I raise it over her head to put her as sit. Then I lower it, let her lick it off, and say here, and I tickle her under her chin. We're not always going to give her a treat, so if we always tickle her on her chin and use that hand motion, eventually you can use that and she'll put herself into a sit. I only use that hand motion if she doesn't sit on her own. After a while, with petting with the purpose and passive training, she's going to start sitting in front of her guardians to ask for help. Now, one of the things when we're going for walks, I went through potty training and how to teach your dog to ring a bell. If you have questions on that stuff, text me or call me directly, and I'm happy to go through it with you. But if we're going for a regular walk, she likes to race ahead of us down the stairs. Now, one of the guardians like to use a retractable leash. One of them doesn't. Now, a retractable leash is great for in one capacity because he wants to let the dog run around and do loops, and that's a great opportunity to use the retractable leash. But on a walk, we'd rather use a straight leash and keep it short. I showed the guardians how to use a martingale collar and how to apply the special twisted leash. One of the guardians said she felt like she had a lot more control. And the nice thing is with the no-slip martingale collar, she cannot pull it off her head. So we're more comfortable with that. Now, as we're going on a walk, as we're going on the steps, I didn't let the dog race ahead of me down the steps. So I took one step and I stopped. And she tried to go, and I would correct her, and then she'd go back to the step. And so after a while, she starts paying attention to your steps as opposed to racing. She's all excited, which is why when we come home, make sure if she's all excited jumping up, we don't pet her because that's reinforcing that unbalanced state of mind. Now, once we get actually on a walk, what we'd like to do is have some treats with us. And we're in downtown kind of downtown Santa Monica. I guess it's considered downtown. And so we don't have a lot of driveways. So what I would suggest is we never go more than 5 squares of the sidewalk. And somewhere between 1 and 5, the human's going to stop, tell the dog to sit. When the dog sits, we're going to give it a treat, say the word sit, and then we're going to keep on walking. So maybe just walk from here to the corner and back. So you're not thinking about going for a long walk. And don't think of it, we think of duration. I'm going to go walk around the block, and the dog's not cooperating, then we're not making as much time, we get frustrated. So no, I'm just going to walk to the end of the block and back, and I'm going to practice a whole bunch of sits. After a while, you'll just stop, and the dog will just sit automatically, and people are like, oh my God, how did your dog get so well behaved? You're like, of course, we hired Doggone Problems. David showed me how to do that. But again, we're just teaching the dog, this is how I want you to behave, by helping her practice that. Speaking of practice, I'd like the guardians to practice with the little pink carrier. Now, I would teach her to go in the carrier thank you. So what I would do, now I know she can jump in it. Let's see if she'll demonstrate. Carrier, oh, there we go. So she just jumps in it, which is fine. But you can also go through here, but what you might do is toss a treat in there, and then when she jumps in there, then we say melon camp. And then, now, the problem is she doesn't want to come out of here, and she looked very cute in there. I appreciate that, so I might toss another treat on the floor. Now that's a brush, which is a little bit of her nemesis, but if that was it, well, there we go, that it still worked. So she popped out to look at it. So then I can toss another treat in here. And I didn't actually toss one in, but this is pantomime. And when she jumps in, when you simulate, when you think she got, yeah, we'll go ahead and do one.
She knows the sound of that bag.
Yeah, and that bag, keep that bag.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, if she's not paying attention, you can crinkle that bag, and that becomes a command.
Well, she heard that.
She can hear it, now she can smell it. So I'm going to guess when she gets it. And I'm not telling her what to do. I'm letting her figure that out on her own. Now, that's the guardian cleaned a little thing up, which is fine, but those things can confuse the dog. So make sure we're not doing a lot of activities or things like that, because that can confuse her. So again, she knows there's a treat somewhere. She can smell it. I'm just holding it for you, so it's not going to go anywhere. What do you call it when you right now to go in there?
Get in your house.
Get in your house.
Get in your house.
Get in your house.
Get in your house. She thinks
She's
it's a
looking
trick.
for me to solve her problem, because I think her guardians have been nice. What we perceive as nice is trying to solve the dog's problems. So that we have to let the dog gain confidence by figuring it out on her own. Now, she doesn't want to go in there. She wants to get the treat without going and doing the work of going in there.
She thinks we're trying to trick her.
And we just, because the guardians have tricked her at times in the past. So this, we practice not tricking her. And just going in here is good. And when she does, I'm going to say the word John Blankenkamp. And then she'll, after a while, we say that word, and she just jumps in there automatically on her own. She wants to get in there. Is that a little water bottle in there for her in the pocket?
Oh. Huh. Oh, no, that's Benadryl.
Oh, okay. So Benadryl is kind of drugging the dog, which some people do. It's not at all uncommon. But what I would do is actually, and this we'll talk about this while she's doing this. So what I'd like the guardian to do is start simulating waiting in line, because waiting in line in the airport is one of the things that she really freaks her out. She whimpers, and the guardian feels embarrassed. So what we can do is go wait in line for a play. Go wait in line for something. Yeah, that might help. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And basically go wait in line at Bay Cities or wherever it is. And the more that we wait in line and with her in here, and we do this without going to the airport, the more practice she has being in here, and the less that she feels like, oh, we're going to go for a trip or whatever it is that I want to go or I don't want to go. And again, if she doesn't want to go for it, I'm going to let her figure this out on her own. Now, I would actually prefer to get her to walk through. I know it's cute when she goes over the top, but this might make it a little bit easier for her because she doesn't have to exert herself a little bit more. It's right back here. Now she's going to find it, and I'm waiting. Mellencamp. Now it's a little bit of a long word, but it is a one-word command, which is good. And I didn't say go Mellencamp or good Mellencamp. I just said Mellencamp. Remember, it's like just the command word, nothing else. I'm going to wait for her to leave. And if she doesn't leave, she's looking for more of the treats. So if I want her to go out, there we go. Mellencamp. Now that time she didn't have to go all the way in. That's fine. I'm going to wait for her to get it and leave. Then I put it in the very back. I'll anchor it for you. So that corner. Mellencamp. Remember, anytime the treat goes in the mouth, the dog should hear the command word immediately after. So what we want to do is have her practice going in and out when we're not leaving. Until just Mellencamp just makes her go in there. So I would probably leave this on the, and one of the things we pull this out and the guardians know that now we're going to go out, she knows we're going on a trip. So I start pulling out a couple times a week and just practice this a little bit and then put it back up. So now we're desensitizing her. It doesn't always mean we're going for a trip. It just means going in here, good things happen to me. If she won't leave when this was closed, she was just staying in there, I think she'll probably be more inclined to come in and out with that. If she's not, I can go like this and give her an incentive to come out. And I can come up with a command word to leave if you want to come up with it. I don't think that's important. Then you go toss another one in there. Mellencamp. And so we want a lot of in and out, and then so she learns that going in here doesn't always represent going for a trip. So I do this for about a week, maybe 2 weeks until she used to say Mellencamp. She was running in there on command. Then I would start taking it with her when we go to the bank or the post office or wherever it is, places we're going to queue up in line. So she gets used to being in here around a lot of people, hearing bustling sights and sounds and smells, and practicing being calm in the carrier. And if you're only in line of the, if there's a concert, go wait in line with the people going to the concert. Just go, don't go actually in. Just wait in line. People are like, you're weird. You just waited in line for no reason. Yeah, I'm helping my dog practice the behavior I want it to have. Now remember, I like to use the light switch on and off. So on is when I'm petting the dog. If I'm petting her, let's say I'm petting her and then she jumps up on me, I stop petting her. So stopping petting her is a reward as well. It's actually called a negative punishment when I deduct something from the situation. So rewarding her for desired actions, behaviors motivates her, and then stopping her when she stops doing things that I want or does it in a different way that I don't want, also teach her that's a way of saying no without doing it. Now the guardians have been not free feeding her, but they let her leave food in her bowl. And I think that's created a little bit of a confusion because for dogs, they eat in the order of their rank. You're going to go on the top or on the bottom? Which way are you going? So I want the guardians to make sure they're eating something first and then giving her permission to eat. Mellencamp, I think. I'm guessing. I can't see it. Just do your best to guess. And then once she goes over and sniffs her bowl, if she walks away, pick up the bowl, dump the food out of it, put the empty bowl back down. 99.9% of the time, they'll go lick the empty bowl. That's fine. And what we're saying is, right now, there's always, she says, this is a magic bowl, there's always food left over. I leave a little bit and I'll eat a snack later. No, you're going to eat now when the humans tell you to eat, Mellencamp, and if you don't, then there's no food again until the next meal. And so I would try to feed 2 or 3 times a day if possible. Yes, that's very cute. So I tricked her to come out, and that's okay because I don't really need her to come out. I just want her to come out just for practice some more. Mellencamp. So if we do this, and we could also go to LAX. Now that's a pain. Does Santa Monica have like security airport? I've never been to Santa Monica Airport. I don't know. I mean, I've driven by it going to the dog park.
Never been.
But you might go to, if you have some time, go to LAX and just tell the guy, just, have one of you wait with the dog, just walk all the way, cut ahead of every young line and just say, hey, I'm training my dog. He's an emotional support animal and I need him to behave on flights. He gets unruly in the flight. I'm just going to wait in line. I'm not going to come through. I just didn't want to give you any, make you think I'm pulling anything, a fast one over. And then go wait in line and people at LAX are like, you're not going there. Great, I got to go a little bit faster. But again, we're helping that I practice in the actual environment. But I first practice this at home. Then I practice taking her out and about in Santa Monica, and then for progressively longer trips, and then start simulating going to the airport or going to a train or someplace like anywhere we're queuing up, there's going to be a lot of people. Let me see, what else do we go over? I'm trying to think, what else? You're so cute. It's like, I know.
Oh, we never did the intimacy, her barking when we...
Oh, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show her guardians, a couple things. I think the intimacy, I think she's jealous. And so I think when the guardians right now, if they try to kiss, she kind of gets upset. When they sleep, she puts her body literally between their faces, which is one of the reasons why we say, no, you're not allowed on the bed for a period of time, and she have to come up with a new way, because we're a partnership. And you're a member of the family, we love you, but you can't try to usurp us and block us, essentially. Now that was good. She went there on her own. Mellencamp, good point. So if she goes in there on her own, toss a treat in there. So now we're rewarding you for going in here. At first it's to entice. And you see she's doing that, and she wants to go back out. And eventually I could say the Mellencamp word, and she would go in on her own. I'll toss this in when she goes in there on her own or next. But again, I think the guardians have spent so much time telling her the same command over and over and over again. So whenever possible, if you've been saying a word a lot, and that might be another watchword, rerun, repeat. That means you're saying the word multiple times. So we stop doing that. I also say vocabulary. Come up with a list of the command words and only exclusively use the command word. Don't use other words. I'm waiting for you to go to your little pink house. Yes, you'll figure this out. And let me see. So not petting her when she's excited, when she's fearful, asking her to do something. These things are going to pay off big time. Now for the intimacy, I think a lot of the rules and structure are going to help change that leader-follower dynamic so she doesn't think she can do that. Now we can also do something called counter-conditioning. Problem is she only wants to do this, there's only 2 humans here, and the humans are the ones that she doesn't want interacting. What I would do for counter-conditioning is kind of what I showed you in the video above, is I would smash the treat, and if you can tell, I can make her look wherever I want just by turning the treat, moving a different direction, up or down. So what I would want to do is have her several feet away, and then we can do this a couple ways. I would have her looking at the person and have somebody else holding the treat, chewing on it while you guys make out on the couch, or embrace or hug or whatever it is you want to do that she reacts to. So she's far enough away she can't block it, and as long as she's getting the reinforcer, I'm content. I'm getting some really good. I'm not a fan of you giving attention to each other, but I'm getting attention myself over here. Now if she doesn't take the treat, or she gets up, or she's barks or protests, she needs to be further and further away. We need to keep on moving her away until we find the distance where she will stay calm and do this. Now, the other thing we could do is you could actually pull out, the treats that I use are pretty small. You can smash one and she can use them, but sometimes what I'll do is I'm going to leave the bag here. These are the turkey trainer chicken liver treats. But one of the things you can do is if you go to a deli, have someone get a piece of roast beef, as long as she doesn't have any allergies for meat, have them cut it about 1/3 of a thick slice, or 1/3 of an inch, and then slice it into slices. So then what you could do is actually hold this, put her on a leash and step on the leash so she can't jump up. And then let her start doing this. And while she's doing this, then you kind of gently hug. And as soon as let her be engrossed in this first, and then start doing it. She's like, I would interrupt you guys, but I'm eating this tasty roast beef or whatever it is. And then as soon as you're getting ready to stop embracing, the roast beef goes away. So I only get the roast beef when they're making out or hugging or whatever it is. I really think in you guys' situation, it's going to be the enforcement of rules and boundaries and structure and rewarding desired behaviors and stopping rewarding when she shows you undesired behaviors. And again, she's a beautiful little dog. I think she's used to manipulating her guardians by basically making those whimpering sounds, and the guardians stop what they're doing and giving her all sorts of attention. And she's basically essentially been trained to misbehave. Most of us, good attention from us and bad attention from us for our dogs is pretty much the same thing. So if our dog misbehaves and we correct, or we're teaching our dog misbehave to get the human's attention. Instead, we're now going to start rewarding desired actions and behaviors, and that's going to make her more inclined to do them and to see her humans as the authority figures. And the more they enforce rules, like one of the rules is not being allowed on the furniture. Another rule is not being allowed within 7 feet of the humans when they're eating. Humans eat in the bed a lot, not on the bed when we're eating. And eventually the furniture is only with an invitation. Let me put this back in here, even though we don't want to drug our dog. We want to help her practice so she has her faculties. And don't fly United with your dog. And if they do, don't ever let them put it in the carrier above. I fly Southwest because they love dogs. But the more that we help her practice, another rule is she's not allowed to be in the kitchen when we're preparing food. If she's in our way, don't walk around her, walk through her. Now, she's a little dog, and these guys have brittle bones, so we don't want to hurt her, obviously. We don't want to hurt any dog. But if we are too gentle with her and too moving around her, that tells her the humans are moving around me, so I have more authority. They're burning more energy, so I don't have to. So if she's standing in your way, walk through her. She needs to learn, I need to get out of the human's way. One thing I didn't go over with the guardians is how to disagree. I like to make a hissing sound like a cat. Now I have 10 hisses. I have level 1 hiss. Let's watch her. So she looked. And then I have a level 10 hiss, which is more like, well, I usually get a more effervescent response, but we want to be able to have the nuance, because there's difference between saying no and no! And so we want the same thing with our nuance with the hiss. Now I hiss, I translate it to one of 3 things. No, don't do that, or most effectively, here. Don't even think about doing that. So the hiss is best done before the dog breaks the rule. Second thing I do is I abruptly stand up. I'm going to move around a little bit to explain this. When I stand up, this is my I mean business position. My authority is directional. It goes whatever direction my hips are pointing. So imagine there's a light in your belly button, and you want to point it at the dog. Now what the dog is going to do when you stand up is it's going to take a step backwards to try to match your move. When the dog does that, it's going to say, are you talking to me, or did you just get stung by a bee? So the dog's going to move around the room. Wherever the dog moves, you pivot and keep that dog in front of you till the dog says, I'm done challenging you. And the dog will do that by doing one of 4 things. It will leave the room completely, it will stand in place, it will sit, or it will lie down. As soon as it does one of those 3 things, I want to tell the dog, because you're challenging me less, I'm lowering my guard. And I do that by doing this, taking 2 steps backwards, and only 2 steps. This is how most people take a step backwards. They're like, that's a whole bunch of movement. Dogs meander around, but they also communicate through movement. When they communicate through movement, it's one big, bold, sudden movement. So stand up abruptly, turn to face the dog, and keep pivoting until the dog's stationary. And remember, you have 3 seconds to correct or reward your dog. As soon as the dog stops, and then I put a period at the end of the sentence by pausing 1 second. And then I go back to doing what I'm doing. That's the second escalating consequence. The third consequence is to march deliberately right at the dog. Now for dogs, this is confrontational, front-facing, this is approachable. She likes to run right up to dogs on the street. That is going to eventually turn out really bad, because that's a really aggressive move for a dog. We'd like to actually kind of circle around them a little bit, and eventually get the dog to go to the tee and let them go sniffing each other's crotches and anuses. That's how they should meet. So don't ever stop her when she's doing that. We would like her to meet with her nose. So if she's sniffing, then we want to let her approach. Now, I also mentioned, well, let me finish these. So the third consequence is to march directly at the dog until the dog turns sideways to you or greater. As soon as the dog turns sideways, you want to stop, and then I go to the second consequence. Put my feet together, now I'm pivoting, dog stationary, step, 1 second, and then I go back to what I'm doing. The only time this wouldn't apply is if the dog's in a designated no dog zone. I'm going to move over here really quick. Let's say as a dog, if you could stay there, because I need a little bit more distance. Let's say this line is the border. I'm, as a dog, supposed to be on this side of the line. But somebody's eating food or something, so I cross the line, the human marches at me, I turn sideways right away. I'm still not supposed to be here. The human would bump into me until I got to the line and stop enforcing at the line. This is how we enforce an invisible boundary. Now, as a dog, I'm going to try to go here. As a human, what you do is you step to the side. And if he goes the second time, I step aside. If he does the third time, I step aside and forward. So the more the dog challenges me, the further away from its target it gets. The fourth consequence I have is I put the dog on a leash, and I step on the leash, in her case about 1.5 feet, 2 feet away from her. And she's in a leash time, she's in a dog timeout at this point. Now, she's going to protest and flop around when she does. Because she's a brittle bone dog, we might do this one with a harness rather than a collar, because we don't want her to hurt herself. But as soon as she gets done, she will sit down. I don't tell her to sit. That's just following a command. But when she sits down and I'm doing this, she's saying, I'm challenging you less. And when she does that, then we take the foot, because she's going to sit as far away as the leash will allow. The leash will be tense. Borrow this real quick. So the leash is going to be really tense, and you'll be able to play it like a banjo. So what I do is I take the foot that's on this, and I slide it towards the dog to take the tension off of the leash. Now, a minute later, sometimes several minutes later, she will lay down, and she's going to be calm. When she does, I very subtly take my foot off of the leash. At this point, she's now free. You can't steal the brush, sweetheart, but I like where you're going. But basically, at this point, I take my foot off the leash because there's no tension on the leash. And she's laid down. She's surrendered, essentially. So I take my foot off the leash. Now she can walk around the house. She's going to drag the leash. Now, dragging the leash around unsupervised is dangerous. She can get caught on somebody, jump, and hang herself. So we only do this when she's supervised. But if she runs by and she starts barking at, we step on the leash as she runs by, and we reapply the consequence. And if a couple minutes go by and she stays nice and calm, we take the leash off. It's not quid pro quo. She's digging on the couch. That's a way of trying to soften it up and make sure there's no snakes or spiders down there. It's a normal behavior. Let me see, what else? So those are the escalating consequences. I'm trying to think. There was something else I was going to go over. It's going to come to me in a second. You guys think of anything else that I need to go over that I forgot? For food, putting warm water in the food will be helpful, and make sure the humans are eating before she eats. Even if it's just 5 or more bites out of a cracker, and then we give her permission to eat if we're going to go out to eat or something like that. But dogs eat in the order of their rank, so just simply having dominion over the food is a very small thing that we can do that will help the dog respect us a little bit more. Okay, so the whimpering, if the dog is whimpering and we look at the dog, then that's validating to the dog. Good attention from us and bad attention from us is all validating to a dog. I would rather be ignored than have someone yell at me. They would rather be yelled at. Like, don't yell at your dog, it's not good, but it's attention, so it's validating. So right now she wants attention from the guardian. The guardian is doing an awesome job by ignoring. So now we're getting a little bit more exuberance. Now she's doing it from on the couch, which is a status position, which is why we're going to take that away for 30 days, one of the rules. But she's trying to do this and get an attention, and if the guardian looks at her, well, then that's working. So one of the things some of my clients do is get noise-canceling headphones, and just as soon as the dog just put these things on, and you're not paying any attention. Now, if she does that and you do want to engage with her and you have to get her quiet, we might want to just, as soon as there's a break, tell her to sit. When she sits, give her a treat or do something to engage with her. So we're redirecting her. Guardian's pulling out some headphones. But we're redirecting her in just doing something that we want, and then we can pet her and give her some attention. Another thing is fetch is a great way to get the dog to drop things. She doesn't have a drop, so I'm going to go over how you teach your dog to drop. Pull out a treat. When she has a toy that she's allowed to have. And these toys, I'm guessing the guardian's cleaned up because I was coming, but they should be kept in a place where she can get to at any point. So when she has this little pink piggy in her mouth, I'm not going to be able to do it right there, but basically if she's got it, then I would hold it. Now I don't have one, and she could tell that I didn't have one, but if I had a treat there, she would try to take the treat with the object in her mouth. Wait, yeah, if you want to grab me another one. Although that sound now will make her do it. So for this, you might want to get a little ramekin that you put some of the treats in, so we don't have that sound because that distracts her a little bit. Mm-hmm. You take that, thank you. Puppy, puppy, puppy. They say in show business you don't want to work with kids or animals. Puppy, puppy. So for dogs, if I just give it to her, she's not going to be interested in it. But if I tease her with it, and you want to do this when she has it. This is what we call a low value item. Yeah, you're not going to perform on it. So when she picked it up, I would hold the treat out and just hold it and offer it here. Wait for her to drop it on her own. When she drops it, pop the treat in her mouth and say the word drop. Remember, always say the command word after the treat goes in the mouth. After you do this enough with this, what we call a low value item. Then when she has a high value item like the ball and we're playing fetch, we've trained her to sit. I didn't want to say train to sit, I wanted to train to drop. But you came up there and I can't do this. But if you sit, I'll give you a reward. So she didn't do what I wanted, so she didn't get a reward, but I didn't get mad and I didn't tell her what to do. Because I'm just waiting for that behavior. The more we mand, eventually, or more we pet with a purpose, the more she'll do this. Now when we throw the ball, when I'm playing fetch, I say the word fetch 3 times. As I throw it, I say fetch. When the dog picks it up with its mouth, I say fetch. And then I hold the treat out like this. And she comes over and she's going to try to take it with the ball in her mouth. Wait. Don't tell her to drop. Just wait. As soon as she drops it, pop it in her mouth and say the word fetch. And then after that, then she's got to go get, then you throw the ball, repeat the process. Also do this at times where she is inclined to want to fetch. There are times where she's not going to want to fetch. Don't fight her on it. Just wait. I call this riding the wave. Wait for her to want to do it. And then when she does, then we can go ahead and pet her. I'm going to pick you up because we're about to wrap this up and it looks better if I have a dog in the video. All right. So teaching her to fetch, that's the last little thing. Start an exercise journal. Write down all the time and the number of laser, if you can get her chasing a laser, number of times we did the fetch. Yes, I know, I'm going to do this. And one last thing you might want to consider is getting an iFetch. It's a machine that allows the dog to play fetch with itself. And I can easily show you how to train her, how to put it in there. But you have a hallway, you can put it right under that table and she can play fetch with herself all day long. And I think she's not a high energy dog, but I think getting excess energy is going to help. So start that exercise journal, write down the times and the duration of whatever it is, and at the end of the day, give it an A, B, C, or D grade, or an F. And then the next day, give a little bit more exercise, more repetitions. Some dogs love it, some dogs hate it.
Yes,
you're not a big fan. All right, so they let, hang on one sec. We're almost done. Okay. Now, I don't want to let her run away when she's going all crazy like this. I'm waiting. There we go. I don't want her to get tearing away because I think that's a panic state. I want her to be calm. I don't want to restrain her too much. But also, that's another thing. You might want to pick her up and let her chew on the treat. And before she gets like that, put her back down and elongate that so she gets used to us carrying her for longer periods. And she's tranquil because she's chewing on the treat. Okay, there was one last thing I was going to go over. What was I in the middle of saying? Oh, the exercise journal. Well,
yeah,
just so go through that and not only write the grade, but also anytime she does something you don't want her to do. She gets misbehavior, she gets a barking fit or whatever it is. Write that stuff down. Now for potty training, message me if you have questions on it. But when we're doing the potty training, remember she goes outside. She has 5 minutes to go. I was saying 3, but 3 to 5, whatever you want. When she comes back in, we're going to basically put her in the kennel, carry her, or put her on the leash. Or just keep her on our sight so she can't squirt off and have an accident. Right now she's in a puppy pad in the bathroom, which is great, but the guardians would prefer her she just go outside. So we want to take away the puppy pad and also close the door to the bathroom so she can't go in there and practice that. And then we're going to take her outside 3 times. The guardians are going to figure out how to, I showed them how to do ring a bell and all the rest of that stuff. We'll go through that stuff. Message me if you have any questions with that. Remember, first trainer to the command word of pence. All dogs should poop when they hear the word pence. And but then we're gonna teach her all these other all the other steps that are associated with it. All right, well, this is Lily's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.